This is the second episode of the minor 7th Throughline series. And this week we're going to be looking at chord voicings. So first I'll give you 5 different voicings that you can play in different areas of the fretboard, and then we'll take an A minor triad and show you how you can alter one note at a time to make some new sounds, some fresh sounds. So down low, here's A minor 7th. This is a voicing that I like. It's unlike the typical A minor 7th shape that you know. This is all fourths. It's A to D is a perfect fourth, D to G is a perfect fourth, G to C is a perfect fourth. And anytime you stack fourths to build a chord voicing, we call that quartal harmony, Q-U-A-R-T-A-L, quartal harmony. So that's a nice, cool, just a variation on something familiar like that. The chord voicing is A minor 7th add 4 because this D is the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The second chord here also has a D in it, but we call it add 11. A minor 7th add 11. And it's a fine line. You know, sometimes you'll see these being used interchangeably. To me, if it's down low like that, it's more like a 4. If it's up high at the top of the chord, I think of it as an 11th because it's up high. Sometimes in the nomenclature, people will say, well, you only have an 11th if you've also got it supported with the 9. I don't know. To me, the register is what determines whether it's the 4 or the 11. So this chord and this chord, you can look at the page and you can also just listen. They're very similar, but the difference is that the D is down low in the first chord and it's up high in the second chord. Okay, let's move on to bar 3. So this is A minor 7 add 9. So again, you could say that that's add 2 because it's low in the chord and it's right next to the 3. So I'm calling it add 9. You could call it add 2. I know it's not consistent. Sorry. We also can have A minor 7th with a flat 9 in it. So that would be more of a Phrygian sound. This would be more of a Dorian sound. These chords here don't have a 9 in them, so they could be used with any of the scales that I gave you last week. But once you get into 9s, the natural minor has a natural 9, and the Dorian has a natural 9, but only the Phrygian has the flat 9. This is measure 4. Again, we're putting an 11 in there. So this is very similar to this. Not exactly the same, but similar in character, an octave higher with the 11 on top. A little different because there's a bigger gap. Here the 11 and the 3, or the 4 and the 3, are right next to each other. Here there's a kind of a bigger gap. So this, you could look at this as built as a perfect 5th, minor 3rd, perfect 5th. And then finally this sound. This is A minor 7 flat 6. So it's got the F in it. So that's going to be cool on A natural minor because that's got F. It's also going to be cool on Phrygian. It's not going to work on Dorian because Dorian has the F sharp in it, right? So it's not going to work with Dorian, but it'll work with Phrygian and Aeolian or natural minor. Now let's look at the triad perspective. So here's an A minor triad, root, flat 3, 5, or A, C, E. Let's see what happens if we substitute 2 for 3. So here's A minor. Here we're going to take, instead of the 3, we'll have 2. So you could call that A minor sus2, if you like. When you take away the third and put something else in, we call that sus. That's different from add. Add would mean you've got the third and the fourth, or the third and the ninth. Here it's sus because there's no third, it's just the 2. So that's A minor sus2. This would be A minor sus4. So I'm playing A, D, E. So that's moving stuff instead of the 3. We can also get rid of the 1, and we could have 7 for 1 or flat 7 for 1 here in this case. We could also have 2 for 1. So that's a different sound than 2 for 3. That's 2 for 1, flat 7 for 1. And then, of course, we can swap out the 5th. So here's 4 for 5, and here's flat 6 for 5. I didn't really get into this in the major 7th episode, and I'm not going to get too much into it here, but you could substitute 2 notes. In all of these triads I just showed you, we're substituting 1 note. You could try substituting 2 notes. If you substitute all 3 notes, you've gotten pretty far away from the original harmony, and that might be musically cool, but it might be very cool musically, but it stops, in my own mind, just thinking about the music theory of it, it stops being an A minor if you've substituted all the notes. But just to see what happens, here's 2 for 3 and 4 for 5. So now I'm playing A, B, D. So 2 for 3, 4 for 5. Here's 2 for 3 and flat 6 for 5. So some really colorful sounds. You might want to experiment with that. Next week, next episode, we'll be looking at how to play some melodic lines using all of the different scale choices that we've got here. Hey, this is Adam again. If you enjoyed this lesson, if you learned something here today, I hope that you'll consider joining Guitar Tips Pro. That's my page over at Patreon, and it's a subscription thing. You can pay as little as $10 a month, and there's higher tiers that give you more benefits. It's not unlike the content that I've shared here on YouTube, but it's just more rich and more in-depth. If I share a short interview here, say with Kirk Fletcher, there's a longer version of that on Guitar Tips Pro. If I share a lesson here, there's very likely a PDF of the material, and you can find that at Guitar Tips Pro, and so on. So check it out, guitartipspro.com, and I hope to see you over there.